All right, happy Tuesday, everybody, and I am sorry for the delay today, but the Epstein fallout just continues, and it's a lot. It's a lot happening right now. If you're tuned in, Elon Musk is currently on X naming names. He's claiming that Steve Bannon is also on the Epstein list, or in the Epstein files, rather. And President Trump, I just don't know what to say about him right now. He just hit us with a Cory Booker-style filibuster. When Pam Bondi gets pressed about the list, he's like, well, let me say something first. It is crazy out there. It is crazy on these streets. We got to go over all of this. And in other news, you guys, I think I maybe ruined a marriage. I don't know. Brigitte Macron definitely hates Emmanuel. That's become perfectly clear after another plane incident has gone down. And I'm just not proud of myself. Well, we're going to talk about that plus much more. Welcome back to Candace. Well, team, what can I say? We are scaling new heights, one way or the other. I gotta say, journalists really hate me in a way that is just impressive at the moment. I don't know what to say back to them. I have to sort of just respect their game altogether. I also think that they're maybe running out of vocabulary words of how to describe me. Like they are reaching deep down in the trenches, running out of adjectives. So Skylar, my producer, has me on Google Alerts. And yesterday he told me that a piece was published in Salon, a hit piece that, to be clear, was actually not about me. It was about Brett Cooper, and which made it like remarkably incongruent because she's pretty nice and bubbly, doesn't really wade into any dangerous territory. But the woman who published this, Amanda Marcotte, positively hates Brett Cooper in a way that I've never seen before, like deeply in her soul. Anyways, she just threw me in there. I don't know why, because we both used to work at the Daily Wire. And this is the description that she offered about me, which I must confess did make me chuckle. She writes, Owens brings a blend of loony energy and sincere malevolence that Cooper can't quite muster. That's not to say that Cooper is markedly less evil, just that Owens is a uniquely terrible person in a way that's difficult to replicate. It's beautiful. I love it. I don't know. I think it's amazing. And so thank you. I feel you. All you journalists are on my back right now because I'm just doing this thing where I'm telling the truth and I'm not picking left or right. And people are starting to realize that maybe we've been lied to and we might live in the Matrix. And this Epstein situation is just stunning, because we've got to get into these similarly hilarious explanations and excuses that we are currently receiving regarding the Epstein files, because there is a level of gaslighting that is taking place that ought to be studied. I mean, we are just what? So to tee up this first clip, what's happening here earlier today, Pam Bondi is very reasonably being asked by journalists about the discrepancies between her past statements and actions, which we'll get to, regarding Jeffrey Epstein and the files, and the extraordinary announcement that arrived yesterday that basically no other people are going to be involved. There's no names. The DOJ has concluded their investigation. Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile acting all on his own. There was no orbit. So let's just watch this clip, because I promise you it is indeed amazing.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the night of the stabbing?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, Pam, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
Yeah.
This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
Yeah, we are.
That is unbelievable.
You should believe it.
Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I do.
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein
Believe it.
at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file, along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively, the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night. And that's it on Epstein.
I'm not laughing. You're laughing. There's so much happening here. There's so much to unpack. It's amazing how stupid they think we are. First and foremost, what even is that Trump filibuster? Are you guys still interested? Are you guys still interested in that? Wow, I'm shocked, because we are doing both amazing things in Texas. There are devastating and amazing. And what are we talking about with that is crazy. I mean, if you really want to talk about this guy, we can talk about this guy, but just so you know, we're doing some amazing and maybe some not so amazing things in Texas. Okay. Pam is taking notes like, okay, this gives me an opportunity to maybe come up with something on the spot. And what's incredible is that she refuses to assert whether or not Jeffrey Epstein was working for another intelligence agency, because we already know the answer to that. Yes, of course, he was working for Israel. Duh. That's why we're not allowed to know anything else about the Epstein files. But she's just like, that's unclear. We don't really know if he was doing that. We don't have the ability to determine that. And then this next part, which I want to be very clear here, that I am not saying this word as a slur. I am saying this in its true denotative meaning. Pam Bondi's explanation for why a minute of the prison tape is missing is retarded. Okay, it is a cognitively delayed response that she offers us there when that question is asked. Hey, why is a minute of the prison tape missing? Slow it down. What she says back here, as that a minute of the footage is missing because the prison always removes 1 minute of the footage every night, like since the 90s. Like, it's daylight savings minute, and they just got to remove a minute. And so they're just waiting for more time. They haven't had enough time. By the way, they just need a little more time so that they can get the evidence from the prison for why they had the daylight savings minute every night since the 1990s of the minutes that we would like to see maybe something happened. Huh? Please be my guest. Take a couple of seconds to digest that. Daylight savings minute. There's always that minute too in my house. We just delete 1 minute every night. We've been doing it for a very long time. So all of this is a little slow, my guys. It is just very delayed. Con retraso is what they say in Spanish, okay? The explanations here are just absurd. And what is most compelling to me, by the way, about the Trump filibuster is that it requires us to be so gaslit that we completely forget that nobody made more of a show of the Jeffrey Epstein files and the release of those files than the person sitting to the right of him, Pam Bondi. That's why we're here. Pam Bondi was the one who notoriously handed out binders to a bunch of online influencers on February 27th. Okay, that was supposed to be apparently phase 1. And then too many of those influencers decided to pose in like cute pics with the binders. Okay, like this. Look at this influencer, cute pic. Just me with the binder. See that? It says in red print, in case you can't see it, the Epstein files, phase 1. And ironically, when we took a look at some of those individuals, they were very new to the influencing scene, and they weren't even influencing that girl with the cute pic, Emily Austin. Nobody really knows who Emily Austin is, other than the fact that she's a radical Zionist that is currently being shoved down our mouths. They're like, you will take her, and they're desperately trying to make this girl happen. And somehow, at the beginning of her influencing career, she gets invited to the White House and is handed an Epstein binder. Okay. And then she makes, a very influencing video about having that binder. Let's take a listen to it.
I saw y'all on the internet coming for Cash Patel saying he's day 5 and we haven't gotten the Epstein files. Well, I'm here outside the West Wing and look at what we got today. The Epstein files, baby. Let's make America safe again.
And then when people pointed out the fact that this felt extraordinarily staged, also noticing that nobody there had been critical of Israel, I don't know, kind of a big thing that we would want to see if we really feel like we're going to get to the heart of what's going on with Epstein, then people were accused of just being jealous that they weren't invited to Pam Bondi's binder party. Like Pam Bondi, she had a binder party and you just weren't invited. That's why you're jealous. Okay. And like I said, strangely, not a single individual there had been critical of Israel in any way. But somehow this young woman, Emily Austin, who virtually no one had heard of, was there. And I want to be clear, when I say like the level of Zionist that this girl is, and they are trying to make like fetch happen, she knows nothing and they just keep putting her in front of a camera. Like she recently went on Piers Morgan and had a debate with Scott Horton, who you should not debate unless you know what you are talking about. But she was just out there to defend Israel's actions bombing Iran, right? And they just put her up on stage. You're like, here, you're like a cute conservative. Just go up against Scott Horton and say things good about Israel. She did not even know who the leader of Iran was. Take a listen to this clip. It's actually hilarious.
He keeps saying that Iran's not a threat to America. So since Scott decided to become Iran's mouthpiece, can you please clarify for me what Khomeini means when he says death to America, death to the West, and forceful conversions? Can you translate in the language that you so clearly understand that all of us are missing? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, Khomeini died in 1989. You don't know what you're talking about. Second of all, the chant, you'll notice, all of y'all in the audience and on the panel notice.
I just wanted to show that. That is just absolutely, it's amazing. It's amazing. Like I said, there's so much here with the Epstein story, so much that is being hidden in plain sight. We barely scratched the surface yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein. We discussed his similarly forced biography. It reminded me of Emmanuel Macron. Same story. They told us that Emmanuel Macron was a savant. He was like Einstein. He was just amazing. He was like Bach. He was like Beethoven. And that's why he was then working for the Rothschilds. And you kind of go back and you learn like none of that was true. Exact same thing here with Epstein. He was a mathematical savant. Okay, he never had any training and he was kind of pulled through the system. We have a lot of questions that we should be asking. And then something that I should also tell you is that despite having no academic successes, as we discussed yesterday, despite Epstein having no college degree, despite him being involved in multiple fraudulent scandals, Jeffrey Epstein was given an office at Harvard University. And I want to make it clear, this was after he was convicted of sexual crimes against minors. Harvard University said, that's okay. That's okay. You can still come here. You can still visit this campus. And not only that, we're going to give you your own office so we can fact check that. Here's a CB News article here discussing that. It reads, disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein visited Harvard University's campus more than 40 times after his 2008 sex crimes conviction and was given his own office and unfettered access to a research center that he helped establish, according to a review of his ties to the school. The review, completed at the request of Harvard's president, also found that the university accepted more than $9 million from Epstein during the decade leading up to his conviction, but barred him from making further donations after that point. Amazing. Just absolutely incredible. He was given an office after he was found guilty of crimes against minors. Not an issue. Come right here. And do you want to know who else was working at Harvard at that time, who was working perhaps alongside him? Alan Dershowitz. You might know that name. Alan Dershowitz taught at Harvard from 1964 to 2013. He's a lawyer. That's a very long time to be at Harvard University, but he was one of the lawyers that was on Epstein's team that got him that reduced sentence for his crimes against minors in 2008, when he was just like the mayor of the prison and making the sheriffs put on uniforms and greet his guests as he was allowed out for 12 hours a day and making them hang his TV so that he could watch it. It is ridiculous. And it's funny because this morning I was speaking to Xavier Poussard of the Becoming Brigitte book and the person that inspired me to do the series. And we were sort of just touching upon how obvious it is. Once you begin the research and you fall down the rabbit hole, you just know what you're looking for. You start to recognize these patterns. And I can tell you that I know for a fact that they are handing out fake credentials. And I've known this before I even got into the Emmanuel Macron story. Like just being in politics, I've met people who have degrees from Stanford, from Harvard, and I am going, you're dumb. You are actually really stupid. And your whole brand is fake. Like it's almost like you're acting, like it's performative, and they just give you a degree so you can convince others that you're smart. I see this, and I'm never convinced by it. And that is one layer of this. It is a form of credentialism. And you're going, these people, that's happening intentionally. It's like an onion of the influence that they have, right? They have these fake people in Hollywood, and they want to turn them into A-list stars so that they're influential and you follow them and you do whatever they say because they're leaders and they're fabulous. They have their lawyers, Alan Dershowitz, obviously, because they need someone when their guy does something wrong, like Jeffrey Epstein, to be able to represent him, to fight for these people to have clemency and pardons. They have their politicians. Obviously, we know what AIPAC is doing, right? We understand that they have politicians that they want to pull through the system, like Barack Obama, and they are controlling those politicians once they're in office. They have their journalists, same thing, fake credentials, schools that they send them to. They have their banksters who are committing the white collar crimes, right? When billions of dollars goes missing and nobody's held accountable, and then swoops in Alan Dershowitz, nothing to see over here, right? They have their doctors, they have their teachers teaching us the history that is being wiped before our eyes. And then, of course, there is a military and a police strand of this. And that book, Chaos, that I have been imploring everybody to read shows you that. It's like they're all connected. There are just these sort of 7 layers where they control all of the information that we are getting. And yeah, I would say Dershowitz is pretty obviously one of these matrix lawyers. And I want to be clear when I'm referring to this American matrix that's been created, it's very clear Israel is behind it. If you need more proof that Alan Dershowitz might have an interest or some other allegiance, and I can say that here because it's not Harvard University, you know, Trump's administration is making it illegal to say on Harvard University's campus. You want to be able to discuss Jeffrey Epstein on Harvard University's campus without being kicked out because they're running a whole cell there. But, you know, they changed the definition of anti-Semitism. But while I can say that, yeah, it's pretty clear we've got some Israel firsters with a lot of power in our government. And it's not just the Epstein case that Dershowitz was involved in, him just like Epstein from Brooklyn. Despite him, Dershowitz being adamantly anti-Trump in 2016, he was somehow able to weasel his way back into the decision-making of who Trump was going to grant clemency to at the end of his first term. And you're not going to believe there's a common denominator in terms of who Alan Dershowitz tries to help get away with their crimes, like Epstein, okay? Here's a headline in the New York Times discussing that. It says, using connections to Trump, Dershowitz became the force in clemency grants. And it tells us that he had an outsized influence over how Mr. Trump deployed one of the most profound unilateral powers of the presidency, including commutations to 3 people on whose behalf Alan Dershowitz personally lobbied Mr. Trump after working on their cases with Jewish prisoners' rights groups. They included 2 New York real estate investors, Mark A. Shapiro and Irving Sitsky, who had been convicted of defrauding more than 250 investors out of $23 million. It also included a former executive at a kosher meatpacking plant named Shalom Rubashkin, who was convicted in 2009 of bank fraud. I'm noticing a pattern here. Am I crazy to be noticing a pattern? Oh, and that's not it. Do you know who else Alan Dershowitz tried to and failed to get Donald Trump to grant clemency to, a preemptive pardon to? Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, here's a headline in the London Times, Sunday Times. Alan Dershowitz asked Donald Trump to grant Ghislaine Maxwell a preemptive pardon. I don't know, guys. It just seems like Alan Dershowitz has a theme here. And what sort of banksters and gangsters and human traffickers he's trying to help out here is all I'm saying. But there's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. I better not step foot on a Harvard University campus. They'll arrest me. Lock me up, Harvard. Lock me up. Also, I just want to point out, in case I know we mentioned it yesterday, and I said I'm actually going to look into it. It's crazy to look at the pictures that are being provided here as solid evidence that nobody went into Epstein's cell, because there aren't even the same doors. So way back when Epstein committed suicide, they released a picture of his cell door. This is the picture that was given to the media. It was passed all around. I'm showing you a still from 60 Minutes. You can see up close, you're looking at just, I guess, observe with your own eyes here. Spot what doesn't belong, spot what the differences are here. This is the door that we were showed way back when. And this is the door that's in the footage from yesterday. You know, that's just not the same door at all. And so now they're like, oh, that's a door you go through to get to another door. Okay, so we didn't see everything. We very clearly have not seen everything. And we also have a minute of the footage missing. All of this is problematic. Why are people falling over themselves to protect Jeffrey Epstein? Because he is something of a linchpin to this matrix, right? You really, once you start prodding this narrative, you start to understand globally what is happening. And the stakes are very high, right? This exposes everything. It exposes the military industrial complex. It exposes human trafficking. It exposes the gangsters, the banksters, the frauds. It exposes an operation on college campuses, high school level, Dalton School. And I like to say the best way to think about it is like Harry Potter, like I said yesterday, we are the Muggles. These people are among us and they are being brought through the system so that they always have influence over our mind. So they can publish what they want to have published. They are the teachers, the professors, the lawyers, the experts that we're supposed to quote unquote just trust blindly. And you have to have your gut instinct to be able to override it, to be able to override this matrix that they have created. You have to have common sense. And common sense is not that common. We've learned that. We saw this during COVID. Get a couple of experts to say, hop on one foot and you'll be saved. Sure enough, people start hopping on one foot. We have to stop hopping on one foot and go, no. I don't care about your jargon. I don't care about your degree. What you just said was factually stupid. I want to be very clear here, guys. Everything that is happening right now is factually stupid. These people are idiots. They're a part of the club. We're not in it, but we better get wise to it pretty soon. That's all I'm going to say. We're going to get into what Elon Musk is claiming about Steve Bannon. I'm going to ask you whether or not you believe it. I'll tell you what my perspective is. First, I want to throw it to some of our advertisers. Preborn, of course, June 24th marked 3 years since Roe v. Wade was overturned. It's supposed to be a good thing, but the truth is that abortion hasn't gone away. In fact, it's gotten worse. Abortions are at a 10-year high. The fight has moved from the courtroom to something much more dangerous, our homes. Today, more than 60% of abortions happen through a pill. Women are taking this pill alone. They're in fear. They have no support. And what happens next is really horrifying because women deliver those babies fully formed into toilets, onto bathroom floors, and they realize that, no, this is not just tissue. These are human beings. And now those human beings are gone, and we should all be honest, whether you're left, right, in the middle. This is not healthcare. It is trauma. 11% of women who take the abortion pill face serious complications. Many will carry emotional scars for the rest of their lives, and that is why I support Preborn, because they are stepping in where our culture is clearly failing, giving women the truth, practical financial support as well, and a chance to choose life. Preborn has already saved 350,000 babies, but they can't do it without us, and the need has really never been greater. You can help with just $28. If you give $28, you can double the chance that a mom chooses life for her baby and for herself. To donate now, go to preborn.com/Candace. That's preborn.com/Candace. Also telling you guys about Just Thrive, because the biggest health secret that is not talked about is that everything starts in your gut. Every day, your gut is fighting a silent war against processed foods, work, stress, even toxins in the air that you breathe. When your gut is in trouble, your whole body feels it. Most probiotics do not work. 99% of the traditional brands die in your stomach acid before they reach your gut. And that's what makes Just Thrive, their spore-based probiotic, completely different. Just Thrive is the only probiotic that is clinically proven to arrive 100% alive in your gut. It does something that no other probiotic can. It turns your gut into an antioxidant factory, creating protective compounds exactly where you need them most. That means better digestion, healthy immunity, more energy, and easy weight management. You can take Just Thrive probiotic in the form of a capsule or a berry-flavored gummy. From their award-winning probiotic to their full line of gut, immune, and brain health supplements, Just Thrive has been fighting to make Americans healthy again with science-backed solutions that you can trust. So if you'd like to join the gut health revolution and take control of your health today, visit justthrivehealth.com and you'll save 20% if you use promo code Candace at checkout. You'll see the difference for yourself, or you will get a full product refund, no questions asked. Take control today with Just Thrive. That's justthrivehealth.com with promo code Candace. All right. Well, like I said, it's getting crazy out there. Elon Musk. I've said a lot about him. I will say more about him. I do not trust him. I can tell you why. It's because I did his genealogy. I have to stop doing genealogy, guys. I don't know who I think I am. 23andMe? I know. I should start my own business here, but it's the first thing I do. I just start looking up people's genealogy. Anyways, Elon Musk, as we know, had a falling out with Trump. And then when he was angry, said Trump is in the Epstein files. And now people are like, is he telling the truth or is he just mad? And my assessment of that was, well, we know for a fact that Elon Musk does lie. He lied when he said that he doesn't take drugs. That's not true. Everyone knows that Elon Musk takes drugs. It's like the worst kept secret in DC. And before that, I told you guys, Seth Dillon told me that years ago. And so we can't trust that everything Elon Musk says is true. But should we trust the fact that if he is going to outwardly say something like Steve Bannon is in the Epstein files, which he did, that he would be sued for defamation? Because that's what I would do if I was Steve Bannon, if he was lying. So let me tell you how this came about. On X, in case you're not on X, Roger Stone, and this is interesting because Roger Stone and Steve Bannon, when you think about the early MAGA movement, these two names come into the foray, right? Roger Stone tweets this article out about Bannon, so I guess they are not on good terms. Maybe that's happened a long time ago. I don't know. And here is what Roger Stone tweeted. He tweeted, why would Jeffrey Epstein, associate Steve Bannon, try to help Robert Mueller send me to prison by perjuring himself at my trial? And then there's a second tweet that he says about Steve Bannon. It reads, why would Bannon meet with Jeffrey Epstein both at his New York home and in Paris after Epstein was convicted on sex crimes in Florida? Why would he coach Epstein for his 60 Minutes appearance? So he doesn't explicitly say anything, but these are pretty heavy implications, right? There's a little innuendo happening there. And so when you click that article, and he's referring to, which I didn't remember, maybe I didn't know, maybe I didn't remember, but essentially it tells the story that Steve Bannon filmed Jeffrey Epstein for 15 hours for a forthcoming documentary that actually never surfaced. So way back when, I believe in 2021, Steve Bannon said he was working on a documentary. I think the documentary was entitled Monster. Is that correct, Skylar? That might be somewhere. And that was the reason he was spending so much time with Jeffrey Epstein. And they dropped a trailer of this documentary that was supposed to come out, but it never did come out. And instead, you would think they would have released it because then Jeffrey Epstein got arrested and then he committed suicide. But no one is mentioning anything about this documentary since. So we can play the trailer for that documentary that has not been released. Again, this is from back in 2021. Take a listen.
Next month marks 2 years since the death of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein inside a New York City jail.
We were underage. We were little girls. By the time I was 16, I brought him up to 75 girls.
He was glib, and he lived essentially like he was Gatsby. He was an absolutely terrifying person to encounter.
You own an island, right?
True. Thank you very much.
Two islands, the islands of Dr. Moreau.
Correct.
Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire New York businessman whose vast wealth brought an arrogance that knew no limits. He acted as if he could have anything he craved.
Reporting the FBI is now looking into how it can interview Britain's Prince Andrew over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
I made my living from old thinking, but the future is for the way women think.
The way women think.
That's correct.
Is that not a sop because of all the depravity you've done against young women? And your new sop is that their women's thinking is the future?
No, I've always believed that women would in fact be able to take over. I'm a firm believer and supporter of Time's Up.
Federal prosecutors said yesterday video of Epstein's jail cell when he made his first suicide attempt no longer exists.
And Jeffrey Edward Epstein.
Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yes.
Epstein got away with his crimes because nearly every element of society allowed him to get away with them.
This morning, we're learning new details of the exact cause of death of former registered sex offender and financier Jeffrey Epstein.
The greatest threat to people put in solitary confinement is they try to kill themselves. Imagine that. You're only in a room for 24 hours, you start to go crazy.
Epstein's Life Among the Global Elite is the subtitle of The Monsters, and it was not released. And so then, after Roger Stone drops this and is suggesting a lot, Elon Musk replies to that tweet, and he says this: Bannon is in the Epstein files. He leaves that alone. What do you guys think about that? Do you believe that Bannon is in the Epstein files, or do you believe that because Bannon has been hypercritical of Elon Musk, that Elon Musk is doing that childish thing where he stomps his feet and just says stuff on the internet because he's angry and feels out of control? Here's what I will say. If Trump is not in the Epstein files and Bannon is not in the Epstein files, it would probably be, I would say, advisable for the White House to come out and say Elon Musk is out of his mind. No one should listen to him, and we don't know why he's saying this. I would say it would be advisable because Elon's got a lot of money for Steve Bannon to go ahead and sue him. I know I would, because that would be like, you're out of your mind. You're not just going to randomly say that I'm in the Epstein files because you're angry at me for having been critical of you. And if these things don't happen, and at the same time, we are getting an absolute just nonsense of an explanation as to why we can't have the Epstein files, which amounts to a Men in Black wiping of our memories, people are going to think that there could be something there, right? Now, I've met Steve Bannon. I very much like Steve Bannon. I've done an interview with Steve Bannon. And what I will say is that if Steve Bannon is an operative, which is to say, I want to be clear here, I'm speaking about an operative for Israel, he would be a very good one because he is critical. He's been critical of Israel. He was not pro-Iran. He was not pro-war. And so he would be a very sophisticated, high-level operative is what I would say, because I didn't get the weird gut thing when I was around Steve Bannon. But if I pull my gut away from it and look at the facts, well, the facts are that Steve Bannon did go to military school from the time that he was young. He was in the military, and we know him because of Breitbart. And Breitbart definitively got a start in Jerusalem. There's no question about that. We can pull up this old article. Could you pull this up? I don't know if we pulled this, Skylar, I think it was Larry Solov wrote this article, right? Breitbart News Network, born in the USA, conceived in Israel. We talk about that onion, and it's a picture of Netanyahu with Andrew Breitbart. Steve Bannon is not in that picture. And he kind of tells a story. People don't realize this, but we got our start in Jerusalem, and it was on this trip, and blah, 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 blah. And so when I say that there's like an onion, and you're constantly being influenced, and you don't know how or why or who's behind it, that's what I mean. And it's a lot to handle if you're like new to recognizing something's wrong. I mean, for me, I feel like I got effectively kicked down the rabbit hole, and I was literally meaningfully just asking questions about Sigmund Freud, and then suddenly journalists were writing hit pieces about me. Next thing you know, I lost my job, and then next thing you know, I was in the ADL's list. But actually, I think knowledge is power, and you start to investigate the stuff, and you then start to realize, like I said, a pattern that is happening. So could it be true? By the way, he's saying in the files, that can mean anything. That could mean that Epstein granted Steve Bannon the rights to that interview because both of them are working on behalf of the same government. I certainly do not believe that Steve Bannon likes young children. I will say that. But we don't know what he means. And that is what actually angers me about Elon Musk, because why are you dropping little tidbits? If you actually know something, don't be halfway brave. And that's what annoys me. Like, he's pretending he's like a hero now. And in reality, you're like a dejected son. You like loved Trump, and then for whatever reason, you guys had a falling out, and now you're trying to destroy him. Like, he's like, I'm going to get behind Thomas Massie because AIPAC and Trump are coming after him. And yeah, cool. I'm very pro Thomas Massie, but my reasons are because what's happening to Thomas Massie is wrong, not because I want to revenge Trump and AIPAC. Like, Thomas Massie is actually a solid, principled congressman who has been calling out the foreign money that we spend, the money that we spend in foreign territories forever. And so we got behind him because AIPAC has been coming for him for years. But you're just showing up and you're like, I'm going to throw money behind this because you have an axe to grind. That's the reality of Elon Musk. He's vengeful. So when you're motivated to do something that could potentially be good because you're angry and vengeful, is it really a good? I know it's a philosophical question that I can leave you with. And so Elon Musk, do not do this. If you know something, say it plainly. Say how you know it. Say, I was granted access to the Epstein files when I was in the government, and here is what I saw. Say it with your chest. Don't be a little wimp about it. You're acting like a wimp. And I'm so tired of all the men right now acting like wimps. There's so many men right now that are just, you know what I mean? They can't say it. They can't say the thing. They're all scared. They don't want to protect their careers. They don't want to get into trouble. They don't want to be called a name. And it's boring. It's just boring. Man up, Elon. If you know something, say it with your chest. That's all I'm asking. It's a very simple ask, Elon Musk. And I'll move on from that. Speaking of manning up, Brigitte Macron, just want to show you this before I get to some of your comments here, has manned up once again. She and her husband were very awkward. They are landing in the UK. They just landed in the UK and they're meeting with the royals because that's what people do. I don't know why this is a thing. And they're just trying to keep it together. And they're obviously not doing well right now. And once again, coming off of a plane, Emmanuel Macron tries to reach out and grab Brigitte's very large hand and is unable to do that because Brigitte just refuses it. And so the press is going, my goodness, what is going on in this relationship? The relationship is over, okay? You don't get on a plane and go to the President of the United States and beg for him to shut up Candace Owens because your relationship is going well and swimmingly, okay? Because you're terrified. People are getting closer and closer to revealing the truth about how sick this society is. I do want to say this again before we get into some of your comments to see what you think about all of this, is last time that they had that plane incident, we left a lot on the table, some low-hanging fruit, okay? So we just want to, I might tell you that there was one too many snakes on that plane. We should have said that joke. We should have told you that there were maybe too many cocks in the pit. We should have said that joke. We're ashamed of ourselves for missing all of this low-hanging fruit that was happening. There are so many jokes that write themselves when you think about the two of them on a plane fighting. And so I had to get that off of my chest because dad jokes are important. It's important to share dad jokes at any given time. All right, you guys, I'm going to throw it to a couple more of our sponsors, and then I'm going to get into some of your comments. Who do we have? American Financing, I always tell you guys about them because if you could delay your next two mortgage payments, then you should do that. Imagine putting those two payments instead in your pocket and finally getting a little bit of breathing room. It's possible when you call American Financing today if you're feeling stretched by everyday expenses, groceries, gas, bills. You're not alone. Most Americans are putting these expenses on credit cards, and there doesn't really seem to be a way out. American Financing can show you how to use your home's equity to pay off that debt. So call American Financing today before you get to a point where you can't make those payments. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are helping homeowners just like you restructure their loans and consolidate their debts, all without upfront fees. And their customers are saving an average of $800 a month. That's like a $10,000 raise. It's fast, it's simple, and it could save your budget this summer. So do not wait any longer. Call American Financing today. The number is 800-795-1210. Again, that number is 800-795-1210. Or visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. The website again is americanfinancing.net/Owens. Also telling you about 7 Weeks Coffee because you already drink coffee, so you might as well do a good thing while you're drinking coffee. 7 Weeks Coffee is America's pro-life coffee company that's on a mission to fund the pro-life movement one cup of coffee at a time. And they just hit an amazing milestone. Over $1 million have been donated to the pro-life movement because of them. And why are they called 7 weeks? Well, because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across all 50 states, providing life-saving ultrasounds, resources for moms in need, and real hope for families. And it all started with one simple idea: using your morning coffee to stand for life. 7 Weeks Coffee is more than a great tasting coffee. It's mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, low-acid, organically farmed, everything, you guys. It checks all the boxes. So go ahead and head to 7weekscoffee.com and you'll save 15% forever when you subscribe and get a free gift. Plus, exclusively for my listeners, if you use code Candace at checkout, you'll get an extra 10% off your first order. So that is a total of 25% total savings on your first order, plus a free gift. Remember, your order will directly help support a network of over 1,000 pro-life organizations across the U.S. So visit 7weekscoffee.com and use promo code Candace today. All right, what are you guys thinking? Steve Bannon? Are you team Bannon? Are you team Musk? I tend to lean Bannon. But again, I think he's been quite sensible speaking about issues and he's been calling things out. So I don't sense a fear there on the topic of Israel. When the ADL comes out and condemns Steve Bannon, I feel like that's a good thing because the ADL is just basically a hit list for Israel. But he could be such a sophisticated op that I missed the whole thing. I don't know. Let's see. Who do we have here in the comments? We've got Rose Casil. She's commenting on the Salon article from earlier. She says, guess we're all loony. I'm good with that title. Christ is king. I know it's so, once you understand that's all they have, I'm going to call you crazy and unhinged. Yes, of course, this podcast is unhinged. We are not on the hinges, my friends. We are not on the hinges. We don't want to be there. It's very boring, very controlled. Brittany Douglas writes, I swear these people are buying the audacity in bulk like Diddy's like, did he buy his baby oil? It's funny how all of this about Epstein comes out after they dropped the big charges on Diddy. Yeah, because that's one layer of the onion. Hollywood. Again, if you are in my book club, we are deep. We are just in Hollywood Babylon learning, and we're seeing all the same themes. So you start to understand that pattern and see how they've done it, how they've sort of created this matrix for us where we think that we're learning facts and we're learning truth, and there's something way more sinister happening. Monkey Dread writes, do you think it was blackmail or threats to them or their families' lives that flipped the whole Trump admin? Either way, how do we end the cycle for the next president? I do not know. It's very obvious that Trump was not in the club. They fought him tooth and nail, and something changed. I would almost say something changed the night that he almost got shot. But then when people point out to me what he was doing during his first administration, he was always very lax on the Israel stuff. And an open secret at the time was Jared Kushner was kind of running the White House. He was... Whoever whispers in Trump's ear, whoever the advisor is, tends to have a lot of power. That's a known thing. And Jared Kushner was the person. I was very in that White House the first 4 years. And Jared Kushner had a lot of power and a lot of influence. And Trump was doing a lot of stuff for Israel. And he was quite frustrated by it at the time, if I recall correctly, that he's like, listen, I'm not the president of Israel. I'm the president of the United States. And so it's interesting to see what changed this time. Maybe surviving an assassination attempt changes you and you're just like, I just want to live. Maybe he's thinking about his legacy in a way that isn't I'm the president of the United States, but rather was legacy going to be for my family? And talking about hotels in Gaza might be what he's thinking about. I don't know. Maybe I should take him up on me interviewing him. Maybe I should interview Trump and ask him questions that nobody's going to ask him, because everybody, one way or the other, is just, they're sycophants. Everyone's a fan. You sit down with Elon Musk and you're just like, you're amazing. No, you're not. I have a lot of questions to ask you. So Elon Musk, you're welcome to come on this podcast, and I'm going to ask you some tough questions. I'd like to get JD Vance to ask some tough questions. I would like to get Trump to ask some tough questions. Ghislaine Maxwell, I definitely would like to get her on the show, ask some tough questions. Yeah, it's a lot going on, guys. A lot going on. Jackie Lanzaro writes, I noticed right away that all of the influencers that went to Israel and the White House were all the ones that just troll liberals for content, not the intellectuals. Candace, they not like us. Yeah, I mean, they were all pro-Israel is what I will say. And some of them are my friends. And I don't think, I want to be clear, Mike Cernovich is, I would say, the rare person there. You cannot accuse him of being pro-Epstein, because he was the only reason that we know what we know about Epstein is because of Mike Cernovich. He is pro-Israel, but he is, I would say, sensibly pro-Israel, and that he does not pretend like what they're doing in Gaza is okay. And he states his reasons for why he supports Israel that are practical, and he's not gaslighting us when he says that he's pro-Israel and pretending that they're like good guys. He's like, no, they're doing a lot of bad stuff. But the majority of them, you're like, yeah, no, these are like, you got a platform by just trolling liberals. But now that we're getting to the nitty-gritty of things, do you have the courage to call out what's happening? Do you have the courage to speak about what government it is that Jeffrey Epstein was working for? And if the answer is no, then you're an operative. We don't need you to have a platform. Goodbye. That's what I truly think. I'm telling you guys that. We just don't need this anymore. It's all just noise. I don't care. Benny D writes, I am very disappointed in everyone involved. Trump, Vance, Bondi, Patel, and Bongino. If you allow pedos to run free, there are going to be more victims. Rich, powerful, influential people will not stop. Any blackmail over them is not worth it. Yeah, I agree. And I also would question whether or not these people actually believe in God. They claim they do. But if you believed in God and you were an actual Christian, you would know that this world is not it. And you would be concerned about the afterlife. You would be concerned about you making it into heaven. You're not going to make it into heaven lying and covering up for pedophiles. Okay? You're just not. Jess McKim writes, firstly, Trump, do not gaslight us. I like this. She's just going to tell him off. Let's just do that. Firstly, Trump, do not gaslight us. We told you we wanted the truth of Epstein. Also, I'll use my once in a year, 1 minute time savings to pay my taxes. I don't know the IRS. I paid them. Love you, Candace. Keep telling the truth. God bless. Is the IRS comment about what they're doing with the pastors? We can get to that tomorrow. The Operation Mocking Pastor is hilarious. That's another layer. I would put that in the teacher layer. They have their teachers. Pastors would be under that layer. And as we've learned, Operation Mocking Pastor is in full effect right now to defend Israel. Benny D writes, I think I missed this person. Natalie writes, Isaac Cappy spoke about Steve Bannon in 2019 in his viral "I'm Not Suicidal" video that caught me off guard because he heavily implied that Bannon was caught up in some not so great stuff. I hope it's not true. I just wanted to drop that tidbit just in case. Skylar, my producer, is writing a note here. He says that Isaac Cappy is the actor who posted a video before committing suicide. Apparently mentioned a bunch of celebs. Mark is familiar. Okay, Mark, do you want to voice of God it and tell us what you know about that? Are you able to? Are you able to talk to the audience? I can't hear you. Yeah, he's going to jump in. So Mark is my director. He's in random pockets of the internet. I'll read this next comment while you can.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello, Mark. Hi. Welcome to the Candace show that you direct.
Thanks. It's great.
What
I
do
love multitasking.
Yeah, that's great. And make sure the show still runs. Don't mess up, okay?
Okay. So Isaac Cappy was an actor. I have cursory knowledge of this. I know he posted videos a couple of times, and one right before he died, he said he's not suicidal and that he named a bunch of celebrities that are apparently involved in pedophilia or pedophile adjacent things. And then he allegedly jumped off of an overpass.
So he wasn't suicidal, but he committed suicide?
He said that, but also the troll in me would say that someone could post a video saying they're not suicidal and then kill themselves.
They could.
Just to mess with people.
They definitely could. Who were some of the celebrities that he named? Do you know off the top of your head?
I feel like Tom Hanks was involved, but it's been a long time since I read about it.
Okay, Tom Hanks gives me weird vibes, and he's one of the people that I would say is very obviously working on behalf of the government. It's the people that immediately show up whenever there's a war.
Or COVID. Tom Hanks did one of the first COVID videos.
Yeah, it's like he's so obviously a Hollywood op. And yeah, he gives me weird vibes. So that's interesting that he said Tom Hanks. I'm not suggesting here that what Isaac Cappy is saying is true. I've just heard about the story. I'm just saying that in general, I don't buy Tom Hanks. And that's what I mean when I say they pull people through the ranks. They train these people, these actors, and they make them famous. But then as soon as they need propagandists, they're the first people out that are supposed to control the masses and influence the masses. Here's who you should be voting for, Tom Hanks. Here's the war that you should be supporting, Tom Hanks. Also, Sean Penn, definitely an op, right? I mean, so obviously a CIA op. He's always there. You even get the musicians as well. And you started to really see that during COVID, like all of you, I'm so rock and roll. And they're like, roll up your sleeves and get the vaccines. I'm like, oh, you're like rock, you're punk rock, you're against the establishment. And then they were so establishment. It was a full mask down moment on Hollywood. Anyways, I can go on and on, but I'm going to obviously have to look into, the chat is saying that Kevin Spacey was named, that Seth Green was named. Again, I'm saying all this is allegedly. We're just recapping that this was named by Isaac Cappy. I do not know anything about the story. And I'm just going to have to leave you guys on that note. Listen, we have tonight book club. Did it get crazy? Hollywood Babylon, man. It is just the layers of this book. It's such a small book, but we have to go through it so slowly because he just told us, Kenneth Anger, the occultist, just told us everything. He's naming the pedophiles that started Hollywood, the directors. He doesn't care. He's like, yeah, they came out of old Vienna. What's going on in old Vienna? That's where these people were coming from. People that are controlling your minds were into the occult. They were into, I can't say too much of this on YouTube. That's why we have the book club, which is turning more into like a study hour as we go over all of this. And it's also connected. But if you are not yet a member of the book club, you should join that. You can go to CandaceOwens.com. We will have that book club in 1 hour, an hour and a half. Yeah, right, 6:00 p.m. Eastern as we continue reading Hollywood Babylon. Also, we restocked the book, The Assault on Truth. We've sold out of that 3 times. That's our next read. I reckon after last night, we will have one more Hollywood Babylon meeting, and then we will get into the Assault on Truth introduction because there's so much. Oh, sorry. It's in 30 minutes. So yeah, we should probably take a break, and then we are going to have book club. You guys, if you'd like to support the show and support independent journalists, please go to CandaceOwens.com, buy yourself a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, sign up for our Shot in the Dark series. It's amazing. You won't regret it. And thank you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.